Rivers of seven, I place my child upon your waters. Speak if he's truly the son of the land.
You are so handsome.
In the land of seven rivers, deep in the heart of Africa, there was a tradition older than memory itself. Each time a child was born, the people would gather at the banks of one of the rivers. There, the child would be laid gently upon the water. If the river carried the child away and returned it before the sun went down, the people would rejoice, for the child was truly of the land. But if the waters did not return the child that same day, the people knew the child did not belong to them. They would weep and then they would forget. It was a test that spared no family. On a bright morning, a baby boy named Tamuno was brought to the river. His parents stood trembling, hearts heavy with fear. The villagers sang the old songs and the child was placed upon the flowing water. The current seized him at once. He drifted farther, farther, until he was gone from sight. Hours passed. The sun rose high. Whispers began. The boy will not return. He is lost to the river. His mother wept. His father's hands shook. The people were ready to turn away. But far beneath the waves, a mystery was unfolding. For in the depths of that river lived a goddess, a queen of the waters, a mermaid with eyes as bright as moonlight. By her side, she kept her infant daughter, a princess of the deep. When the goddess saw little Tamuno, she swam to the water surface, reached out her shimmering hand and lifted the boy into her arms. The princess stared, gazing at Tamuno with wide, curious eyes, and in that moment, a bond was born. A thread of fate tied them together, unseen but unbreakable. Above, on the riverbank, despair was heavy in the air. The villagers were already mourning, convinced that Tamuno would never return. But then, just as the sun began to fall westward, someone cried out, "Look! Look there!" From the distance, a small form was drifting back upon the waters. The people held their breath. His mother fell to her knees, her tears mixing with joy and disbelief. It was Tamuno. The boy had returned. The villagers cheered, their voices echoing across the water. "He is one of us. He is the son of the land." Yet none of them knew that Tamuno carried with him a secret, the blessing, and perhaps the curse of the river goddess. Tamuno grew, and with each year, the river's mark upon him became clearer. By the age of 5, he swam with a skill that left even grown men astonished. While others struggled against the current, Tamuno moved as if the waters obeyed him. At times, he would dive beneath the surface and not return for long minutes. Once an hour passed, and the people gathered at the bank, certain the boy had drowned. But then he would rise, laughing, water shining across his face. They whispered among themselves, amazed yet unsettled. What they did not know was this: each time Tamuno vanished for long, he was not alone. Beneath the waters in the hidden realm of the deep, he played with Imira, the mermaid princess. The bond they had formed when he was a baby had never been broken. As the years rolled by, Tamuno grew into a fine young man. His shoulders broadened, his eyes carried wisdom, and his steps grew steady. But whispers followed him everywhere. Villagers began to talk too much. Mothers warned their children not to swim too close to him. Even his parents grew fearful, urging him again and again, "Tamuno, stay away from the deep waters. You are no longer a child. People are watching. Be careful." So Tamuno began to hold himself back. He smiled less, and though the river still called to him, he resisted its voice. But one day, when no one was at the river, unable to resist, he slipped beneath the waters again. Imira was waiting, her eyes lighting up the moment she saw him. And this time, above the water surface, Tamuno spoke words that startled her. "Imira," he said softly, All these years, it is I who has come down to you. It is time you came up. Come to me on land, if only for a day. Let me show you my word, as you have shown me yours." Imira's heart leapt at his words. The thought of walking beside him, of seeing his village, thrilled her. But as quickly as the joy rose, fear followed. "Tamuno, what if your people see me? What if they know what I am? I am of the river. I cannot survive on land." Tamuno held her gaze, his voice steady. "You can, Imira. You must. You are more than the river's secret. Come, let the world see." That night, Imira went to her mother, the goddess of the river, and spoke with courage. "Mother, I wish to visit the land. I wish to see him as he sees me." The goddess's heart sank. Fear gripped her at the thought of losing her only daughter. "The land is cruel, my child. Its people do not understand us. If they find out who you are, they will not welcome you. They will hunt you." But she could not refuse the plea in Imira's eyes. At last, with heavy sorrow, she gave her daughter a gift, a delicate bracelet of silver, glowing faintly with magic. "Wear this," the goddess said. "It will cloak you in my power. With it you shall walk among men, and you will not wither away from the dryness of their word. But remember, Imira, the chain is your life. Without it, you will not survive." Imira clutched the bracelet and nodded. Her heart beat fast with both fear and excitement. The following day, Imira wore the magic bracelet and transformed into a beautiful human-like lady with glowing skin, patiently waiting at the riverbank. Tamuno arrived and they walked side by side. He did not take her to the village, where curious eyes and wagging tongues would quickly find them out. Instead, he led her along the narrow path that opened into the farms. There, the air was quiet, save for the rustle of leaves and the songs of hidden birds. The green field stretched wide. They laughed together as they talked. Tamuno spoke of his childhood, of chasing goats on the farm, of climbing mango trees until his mother shouted at him to calm down. Imira listened with wonder, each word opening a world she had never known. In return, she told him stories of the river's hidden gardens, of fish that sang, and of moonlit dances beneath the waters. For the first time, Tamuno realized how easy it was to lose himself in her laughter. Her beauty was not just in her face, but in the way her presence seemed to brighten the very air. But then his eyes caught something strange. Around her hand glimmered a delicate bracelet, silver yet faintly glowing as though alive. "Imira," he asked softly, "what is this bracelet you wear?" Imira paused. For a moment, her eyes wavered. Then, trusting him completely, she raised her arm in the air. "My mother gave it to me," she whispered. "It is no ordinary ornament, Tamuno. This bracelet carries the power of the river. Without it, I cannot walk on land. Without it, I will fade." Tamuno stared at her, a chill running through him. He had known she was different, but this truth carried weight he had not imagined. Still, he reached and touched her hand lightly. "You trusted me with this secret," he said. "I will guard it with my life." Imira smiled, but her eyes still searched his face. "I only wish to see more, Tamuno. I want to know your world, to walk where you walk." He hesitated. His heart wanted to show her everything: the village square, the busy market, the laughter of children running barefoot in the dust. But another part of him trembled. Imira was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin glowed faintly. Her eyes shimmered as though carrying a piece of the river itself. She was beautiful, too different. If the people saw her, they would not call her friend. They would call her something else. Seasons passed. Tamuno was no longer the playful boy who once dove fearlessly into the river. He had grown into a young man, strong and full of life. His bond with Imira also deepened, for she often came to him at the river's edge, and together they shared laughter, secrets, and dreams. One evening, the village prepared for its annual festival. Drums echoed across the land, fires were lit, and dancers filled the square. Tamuno, though cautious, could not resist. He wanted Imira to see the colors, the music, the joy of his people, but he was careful. He did not take her into the heart of the crowd. Instead, they stood at a distance, hidden near the edge of the farmlands, where they could watch without being seen. Imira's eyes sparkled with wonder at the lively sights, yet beauty rarely goes unnoticed. From across the fields, a young hunter named Tonye caught sight of them. His eyes narrowed. Something about the woman by Tamuno's side was different. Her skin glowed faintly, as though kissed by moonlight. Her presence was almost unreal. Tonye frowned. Who was she? No woman in the village looked like that. Curiosity burned in him, and without thinking, he began to move closer. Imira sensed it at once. Her river-born instincts flared, and she tugged urgently at Tamuno's arm. Someone is watching us, she whispered. Tamuno turned and saw Tonye approaching with long strides. His heart raced. We must go, he urged, and then they ran. Startled, Tonye called out, Wait! Who is she? Tamuno, wait! But his voice only made them run faster. His suspicion grew with every step. No ordinary girl would flee like that. He gave chase. Through the tall grasses, across the narrow paths, he pursued them with the determination of a hunter who had seen something rare. Imira's glowing skin flickered between the shadows, urging him on. At last, they reached the riverbank. Without a word, Tamuno and Imira dived into the water, vanishing beneath its surface. Tonye stopped, breathless, staring at the ripples spreading across the river. His chest heaved, his mind spinning. No woman could disappear into water like that, not even the best swimmer, and yet he had seen her. Her beauty, her glow, her sudden escape. That was no ordinary woman, he muttered to himself. By the next day, the whispers had begun. Tonye told his friends of what he had seen. Tamuno walking with a glowing maiden who vanished into the river like mist. His friends laughed at first, calling it drinker's talk, but Tonye swore on his life. His conviction stirred their curiosity, and slowly the rumor spread like wildfire. And that was when the trouble truly began. Tonye started stalking Tamuno. From the shadows of the trees, from behind tall grasses, Tonye followed him. Days passed until at last he saw it again with his own eyes. The river stirred, its waters shimmering. From its depths rose Imira, not yet in her human disguise. Her form was luminous, like liquid silver. Before Tonye's very eyes, she transformed, her glow softening into the shape of a beautiful young woman. Tonye's heart pounded. I knew it, he whispered, barely able to breathe. His friends, hidden beside him, gasped aloud, their mouths falling open in disbelief. Tonye turned to them, his eyes fierce. Didn't I tell you? Do you believe me now? The men could only nod, fear and greed warring in their hearts. They knew this was no ordinary maiden. Such a creature could only mean power, wealth, or danger. And greed always speaks louder than fear. That night, they whispered together under the moonlight. A plan was made. The next day, as Tamuno and Imira walked away from the river, their laughter echoing across the rocks, the men lay in wait. Tonye's eyes burned with hunger, not for love but for conquest. Tamuno, lost in joy, never noticed the shadows creeping closer. Then, suddenly, Tonye stepped out from the trees, blocking their path. Tamuno! He barked, his voice sharp as a blade. Startled, Tamuno grabbed Imira's hand, turning to flee. But before he could take more than 2 steps, a heavy strike came from behind. A stick cracked against his head. Tamuno staggered, then collapsed to the ground unconscious. Tamuno! Imira screamed, her voice trembling like broken glass. She collapsed on her knees, her glowing eyes wide with terror. For a moment she forgot herself, forgot escape. She thought he was gone. That was when the trap closed. The men emerged from the bushes surrounding her. No, let me go, she cried, her voice echoing through the rocks. Her power was fading in their grip, her river-born strength weakened by fear and distance from the water. Tony stepped forward, triumphant. At last he muttered, a cruel smile spreading across his face. She is ours. The river rippled helplessly in the distance, but its daughter had been taken, and Tamuno, the one she trusted most, lay unconscious on the ground, unaware of the darkness that had begun. By nightfall, they dragged Imira into Tony's compound and threw her into the center of the hut, their faces burning with greed and fear. Speak, one of them barked. What are you? Where did you come from? Imira sat on the floor, her chest rising and falling. She kept her lips sealed. Her silence enraged them. Answer us! Another man shouted, but Tony stepped forward. His eyes had caught something the others had missed. Around Imira's hand, glimmering faintly in the dim light, was a bracelet unlike any he had ever seen. It shimmered with a watery glow, as if drops of the river itself had been trapped within. Tony crouched closer, his breath hot against her face. What is this? He asked, his hand stretching toward it. Imira gasped. Please, she whispered, her voice trembling. Do not touch it. If you remove it, I will not survive long. Her eyes shone with fear, with honesty. For a moment, even Tonye's men faltered, but Tonye only sneered. You think you can trick me? This bracelet hides your secret, doesn't it? Imira shook her head, tears rolling down her glowing cheeks. It is my lifeline. Without it, I cannot walk among you. Please, I beg you, leave it be. Tonye narrowed his eyes. Then tell me the truth. Who are you? Her shoulders slumped. She could not hide it anymore. I am Imira, daughter of the river, not born of your word, but of the waters. I came only because of Tamuno, because of love. The men staggered back, fear creeping into their eyes. A river spirit? A mermaid? None of them had bargained for this, but Tonye laughed, a dark, greedy laugh. So it's true, you are no ordinary woman, and yet you belong to me now. Without hesitation, he lunged forward and forcefully removed the bracelet from her hand. The moment it left her skin, the earth shuddered. A sudden gust of wind howled through the hut, rattling its walls. The fire in the hearth flickered wildly. Imira screamed, her body convulsing. Before their eyes, her human form twisted and shimmered, her legs fused, scales flashing like silver lightning. Her arms clawed at the air. As her skin glowed brighter and brighter, with a cry of anguish, she collapsed to the floor, transformed, a mermaid. Her long tail glistened in the dim firelight, her hair spilling across the ground like flowing water. She writhed helplessly, gasping as if every breath was a struggle. The men shrieked in terror. Spirit! Spirit! They stumbled out of the hut, fleeing into the night. Only Tonye remained, rooted where he stood, his eyes widened, not with fear, but with triumph. He stepped closer, a crooked smile tugging at his lips. At last, he whispered, staring at her helpless form, I have hunted a big meat. For a dreadful moment, he feared she might truly perish. But when her radiance began to fade, he panicked. Quick as he thought, he slipped the enchanted bracelet back into her hand. A spark of light surged across her skin. With a gasp, she transformed back into her human form, lying breathless on the floor. Tonye's lips curled into a cruel laugh. She lives, and she is mine to command, he muttered. He carried Imira to his personal room. Locking the chains upon the door, he stepped outside to seek his friends. Meanwhile, Tamuno stared from the darkness of unconsciousness. His head throbbed, his heart pounded with fear. Imira, Imira, he cried, staggering to his feet. His voice carried through the trees, but only the echoes answered. Desperate, he stumbled forward, searching for the treacherous Tonye, though he hardly knew where the man lived. Tonye's friends gasped when they saw him alive and well. They had half believed the spirit of the river had swallowed him whole. You live? One stammered. Tonye grinned. Not only do I live, I have mastered her. The mermaid is mine now. The men exchanged uneasy looks, but greed soon swallowed their fear. Around a low fire that night, Tonye laid out his wicked scheme. With her in my hands, we shall become powerful, respected men. The villagers will come. They will bow. They will bring gifts. We shall build a great wooden tank, a pool of water. And there we shall keep her. She will live, but she will belong to us. And so it was. While far away the river roared in fury, waves thrashing against its banks, and the goddess shrieked her lament. Tonye and his companions walked. By the next dawn, before Tonye's house stood a great square trough of timber, lined with clay and filled with river water. They dragged Imira into the wooden tank, removed her bracelet, ignoring her cries. This time within the water's embrace, she did not weaken or fade. She swam in circles, but her movements were heavy with sadness. She tried to escape, but there was no way out. Tonye clapped his hands in delight. Now let them come, he declared. Let the people of the village see what I have caught. Let them pay tribute to gaze upon a wonder of the world. And so the story spread like wildfire. By midday, curious villagers gathered before his house. And there in the makeshift pool, glowing and forlorn, swam Emirra, the stolen daughter of the river. Tonye smiled, drunk on his new power. But far away beneath the deep, the river goddess stirred in wrath, and the waves began to rise. Tonye's friends took their new duty as though it were a crown of honor. They guarded the wooden tank with their very lives, never leaving it unattended. Day and night they stood, spears in hand, their eyes sharp like hawks. And soon Tonye's house became the busiest place in the whole village. Villagers came in streams, some carrying baskets of yam, others jars of palm wine, even goats and chickens. Each gift was laid down at Tonye's compound simply for the chance to gaze upon the glittering creature locked within. Mothers carried their children whispering, "Behold the spirit of the waters." Men removed their caps and some stood before Imira, praying as though she were a goddess. Inside the tank, Imira swam in circles. Her glowing scales shimmered beneath the water, but her heart was heavy with sorrow. She no longer sang, no longer smiled, yet still her beauty alone was enough to keep the crowd in awe. Each movement of her tail drew gasps, and Tonye, with his greedy grin, watched the offerings pile higher by the day. Far away, Tamuno's heart burned with pain. The boy who had once laughed by the riverside now wept bitterly as he listened to the villagers' gossip. Everywhere he turned, he heard the same tale. Take a gift to Tonye's house, and you will see the mermaid with your own eyes. At first, Tamuno refused to believe it, but one evening when the sun was low, he followed a group of people carrying gifts. Quietly, he trailed behind until at last Tonye's compound came into sight. From where he stood, hidden among the trees, Tamuno's chest tightened. The scene before him was almost unbearable. Tonye's yard overflowed with wealth, baskets of food, animals tethered to posts, bright wrappers thrown in heaps, all brought in exchange for Imira's suffering. The wooden tank stood in the center, guarded heavily, and there inside he caught sight of her. His Imira, glowing faintly, swimming in sadness, her eyes empty of joy. Tamuno fell to his knees. His tears cut down his cheeks as he whispered to himself, "I must do something. I must save her or die trying." And in that moment, a fire was lit within him. Tamuno waited until nightfall. He hid in the shadows, watching as Tonye's compound slowly emptied. The drums and laughter faded. Soon, only the bodyguards remained, their heads nodding until they slumped fast asleep by the wooden tank. By then, Tonye had gone inside his house with the enchanted bracelet. Quiet as the wind, Tamuno slipped through the back door. Inside, Tonye's snores filled the room. Tamuno searched quickly but found nothing, until at last his hands brushed Tonye's pocket. There it was, the enchanted bracelet. But just as he pulled it free, a hand gripped his arm. "Hey, what are you doing with my bracelet?" Tonye's voice thundered. Tamuno froze. Then with all his strength, he struck Tonye across the face. Tonye cried out and fell, his scream tearing through the night. The guards outside stirred, rushing towards the house. Tamuno did not wait. He dashed out through another passage and reached the wooden tank. With trembling hands, he slipped the bracelet on Imira's hand. At once, her form shifted, scales fading, face brightening, until she stood in a human-like nature. Without wasting a moment, Tamuno pulled her free, and they ran together towards the river. Behind them, Tonye rose with fury burning in his eyes. Tamuno has stolen my fortune. Catch him, he bellowed. The guards and villagers, startled awake, grabbed torches and joined the chase. To them, Tamuno was no rescuer. He was a thief who had stolen their goddess. Their angry shouts carried through the night. Tamuno and Imira ran breathlessly, feet pounding the earth, hearts racing. The villagers closed in, their flaming torches glowing like angry stars. And just as they were about to be caught, Tamuno and Imira leapt into the river. The water swallowed them whole. Tonye and his men, wild with rage, plunged in after them. But what awaited below was no easy prey. The mermaid goddess and her clan rose from the depths, their eyes blazing, their teeth and claws sharp. They attacked without mercy, scratching, biting, pulling the intruders deeper into the dark water. Tonye and the villagers screamed, but no sound rose to the surface. One by one, they disappeared into the abyss. That night, Imira and Tamuno swam far into the depths, hand in hand. From that moment on, they were never seen on land again, and the seven rivers, once a place of laughter and life, became feared. The villagers whispered of curses, of spirits guarding the waters. No one dared fish, no one dared swim. It became a danger zone, avoided for generations. But deep beneath the waves, Imira and Tamuno began anew. Their story ended on the shore, but under the rivers their life together had only just begun.